March 8th, 2026, episode 627. This is episode 627. Let's go. Of course, I have a few things to share with you guys. Shall we? Man who killed parents to fund Trump assassination plot, sentenced to life in prison.
There is no excuse for what I did. The truth is I became obsessed with hateful thoughts and feelings.
He had what most kids would dream of, and instead of appreciating it, he ended up killing his mom and the person who had become a father figure to him.
It's me. It has to be me. Maybe I'm delusional to think that it's not okay to plot assassination attempts on the president. Somewhere this has to be a fad. Somewhere this must be the cool thing to do nowadays, because I seem to be the only one not doing it. Then he conveniently murdered the only people that would have been there to tell him this is a dumb idea. This is a stupid idea. Just things for him to talk to his bunkie, AKA prison husband, about for the rest of his natural life. You know, conversation starters. Then here's the kicker. 2 years, 12 months, and 10 days into your gazillion-year prison sentence, Trump won't even be president anymore. Some other doofus will be running the circus. A Wisconsin man was sentenced to life in prison Thursday after he pleaded guilty to killing his parents in order to fund a plot to assassinate President Trump. You know, most kids that age are trying to scrape together money to buy their first car. I guess he skipped that part of his youth and went straight to the part where you try to kill the president, involving a drone with explosives or an AR-15 assault rifle. Nikita Kasap, 18. Well, at the age of 18, you are more than old enough to know that murdering anyone is wrong, especially your parents, pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide in Waukesha County Circuit Court in January. He and prosecutors struck a deal to drop 7 other charges that included 2 counts of hiding a corpse and theft. But the heavy charges of murder still stuck. It's like telling someone you're going to give them a discount, but they still end up paying full price. Judge Ralph Ramirez handed down 2 life sentences in case you're so young that the first one runs out with no chance for parole, calling the offenses horrific and inexplicable.
Yeah, Nikita Kasap sat in court today wearing an orange jail t-shirt. As you mentioned, he did speak at his sentencing. He offered an apology for killing not only his stepfather, but his own mother. The decomposed bodies of Donald Mayer and his wife, Tatiana Kasap, were found inside their Village of Waukesha home in February of last year. Prosecutors say Kasap shot Mayer execution style and ambushed his mother, shooting her 3 times.
Then you have the dumb leading the dumb in the comments all the time. Well, if Trump didn't trigger people, shut up. He's only 18. Shut up. This behavior is indefensible. People that don't like the current president try to justify and explain it away. But what happens when a person does this to, God forbid, your neighbor or, God forbid, a loved one? Would it be an outrage then? Would it be appalling then? Not for nothing, if you're a little soft in the head, if you're weak in constitution and fortitude, turn that biased, highly concentrated news stream off. Turn those clips that are being uploaded by 1,000 different people for clicks and likes. All I'm saying is, at the end of the day, you have total control of how you react.
The judge only had to consider the possibility of early release today. After hearing from Mayer's family, the judge said Kasap will spend the rest of his life in prison and not be eligible for early release.
District Attorney Leslie Boyce told Ramirez on Thursday that Kasap and his mother moved to the U.S. from Moldova Bowie said Kassup grew to become addicted to disturbing websites, mentioning that he researched serial killers and school shootings. You gotta turn that stuff off at some point. Just go outside and throw the football around. Do something. The plot to assassinate Trump developed in late 2024 when he thought of using an AK-47 rifle attached to a drone, she continued. He later thought of having a drone drop explosives on Trump before planning to hide in Ukraine for a decade. Kassup told investigators that he had not cared how many people died in the attempt on Trump's life. Kassup sent one person who offered to sell him a drone and explosives $8,700 in Bitcoin. How convenient that you just so happen to stumble upon the one person that told you he had a drone and explosives when you're looking for a drone and explosives from his dad's account. Then he realized he was being scammed and that the seller had no drone. All these people going to jail over politics, and not one of them are the politicians. Don't you see what's wrong here? That's how the biased news media is taking you out, doing their parts for their sides. I figured it out. Peep game. You can't vote if you're locked up. The only states where you're allowed to vote while incarcerated are Maine and Vermont. Even a vote by a fool is still a vote. So if they can get a few hundred, few thousand people to jump off sides, get locked up, the other side loses those votes. Mainstream media is literally the Pied Piper of idiocy, and people are falling for it left and right. Pun intended. Kassup's defense attorney, Paul Riffelge, asked the judge to grant parole after 20 years. The nature of this crime, that was a long shot in itself. He said, you're lucky he got a plea deal. He said his client was sent into a rage after a doctor drove his car into a Christmas market in Germany in December 2024. What does that have to do with anything? Riffelge, you have control of how you react. That's all I'm saying. Riffelge said Kassup focused on killing a politician as a means to change the world. I thought I was part of a revolution. You're not. Kassup said through tears while speaking in court, I thought I was part of a war. You weren't. I told myself bad things had to happen. They didn't. He said he missed his mother, Tatiana Kassup, and that right there is the real tragedy of this story. These people aren't coming back, and he's going to be all alone to think about this for the rest of his natural life, and said his stepfather, Donald Mayer, treated him like a son. The criminal complaint stated that Kassup shot Mayer and his mother on or around February 11th, 2025.
Kassup stayed in the family home with the bodies for nearly 2 weeks before going on the run. He stole a car, jewelry, and cash from the house. Prosecutors say it was to pay for a drone and explosives to assassinate President Trump. Kassup was arrested in rural Kansas. He was 17 years old at the time. His defense attorney argued Kassup was radicalized online, but Mayer's family called the killings, quote, unforgivable violence.
Of course, I love to hear your thoughts on this. I love to hear your opinions on this. He's cooked, but you can still take this as a cautionary tale. Don't lose your humanity, and it's not okay for someone to die just because you disagree with them. With all the people going to jail over politics, do you think prisons and jails will start having to ask people during intake if they have any affiliations? You know the normal ones, blood, crib, then they'll add a couple on, liberal, conservative. Can you imagine hearing that Democrats are in the box taking people's lunch because they have the numbers like Mayor of Kingstown, but it's some Soros-backed prison gang? Man fatally stabbed husband of his lover at bus stop, then threw the knife in bushes near his own job.
And another man convicted of murder has learned his fate, 70 years in prison. Court records show Carl Mott had an extramarital affair with a woman, and last year he approached that woman and her husband, identified as Michael Bowman, at a Northeast Side bus stop. That's when Mott is accused of stabbing that man in the shoulder. The victim tried to get help at a restaurant nearby, but did not survive. Right
off the bat, I blame the wife for sleeping with a man that has blonde extensions on the back half of his head. Clearly, he's unhinged. Oh, I'm kink shaming today, because what made you think a man with blonde synthetic box braids would be good for some side action without any consequences? He looked like you should have bought him a soup and a sandwich, not banged him, and he's wearing a chicken suit, a prime indicator of sanity or lack thereof. He's unwell, but whoever thought that he would be a good lay to trade sexual energy with this nut is even more sick than he is, and the bill comes due. A man will spend the rest of his life behind bars for killing his lover's husband out of Texas. You heard right, kids, Texas. A recurring guest on the show, bus stop, and then tossing the knife he used near where he worked. Carl Mott, you let a man named Carl get between your legs and then get between your marriage, was sentenced in court on Friday to 70 years in prison, the Bexar County Criminal District Attorney's Office announced. The defendant was convicted of murder and tampering with evidence on January 30th over the death of 52-year-old Michael Bowman. I wouldn't smash anything after Stony over here, Moesha. Dirty Dick Carl. I need to know. Did he see the victim as he was getting this mess done to his head and it was on site? Because there's no way possible that this is a completely conscious hairstyle thought out by a rational thinking human being carried out by a rational thinking hairdresser. It's like a perfect storm of a rat's nest. What did he pay per square inch? Installed his braids like bathroom tile, came up short money and couldn't finish the project. He looks like a stunt double for a 90s pop singer is all I'm saying. Mott was 61 years old when on December 14th, 2024, he encountered Bowman and his wife at a bus stop on the northeast side of San Antonio. The killer had been engaged in a long-standing extramarital relationship with the woman, according to the DA's office. After he was hitting that for a while, this nasty, after words were exchanged, Mott approached Bowman with a knife and stabbed him in his upper left shoulder. Bowman and his wife went into a nearby restaurant seeking help as he was bleeding heavily, local CBS affiliate KENS reported at the time. The couple reportedly identified Mott as the attacker and added that he had assaulted Bowman in the past. Him really being like it's on site about your woman, like it's his woman, is wild. There shouldn't have been a first altercation, but after the first altercation over her, you have an obligation to evaluate your relationship. Him approaching you as a man over your wife like it's his wife is crazy. Me personally, if she would let him smash, they belong together. He looks like Predator without the helmet, like a DEI predator. After all these years, I finally found someone with worse braids than Shamar Moore in Diary of a Mad Black Woman, and it's not even for an acting role. Truth is stranger than fiction, kids. The victim eventually died from his injuries. Mott fled after the stabbing. This is messed up, with surveillance footage capturing him discarding the knife in the bushes near his place of employment. What, did he go to work after he stabbed him? Approximately 10 minutes after the attack, authorities said. Law enforcement identified Mott as their suspect and arrested him about 11 hours later. What, did they wait for him to finish his shift? The knife was found 4 days after the stabbing. This was a senseless act of violence fueled by jealousy that cost the man his life, Bexar County District Attorney Joe Gonzalez said. Today's sentence ensures the defendant is held accountable and that justice is delivered for the victim and his family. Of course, I love to hear your thoughts on this. I love to hear your opinions on this. 70 years, he's already 61. He doesn't care. He's going to get cold applesauce and drugs for however much longer he has left. He won't even know he's incarcerated. Your boo. I like to think when I hit 61, I'm going to be wearing one of them hats from Rock, Peaky Blinders, a fitted. Hell, I'll cut it all off before I try to salvage a little bit of hair by getting broomstick straw twisted up into what I have left. Fun show, fun show, fun show. The music for this episode is from Will B. Alexander. Get your music from Will B. Alexander. I'll leave the contact information down here at the bottom. If you're a producer and you would like to have your music featured on an episode of this podcast, reach out to me on any one of my socials. Don't forget to follow me on all my socials. Find me wherever you listen or watch your favorite podcast. I am there. That being said, I'm going to wrap this one up, but I'll be sure to talk to you guys very, very soon. Jusqu'à la prochaine fois. He looks like the unsuccessful half of a failed female R&B duo. Right off the bat, I blame the wife for The victim eventually died from his injuries. Being stabbed by a man named Carl is probably not the way you want to go out. Sorry.